Hi, I'm Liz Cully, and welcome back to Cool, Cool, Cool. Each week, I give you a glimpse into what I think is cool and chat with a ton of people that are definitely cool. No topic is off bounds unless, I guess, it's not cool. Welcome to Cool, Cool, Cool. I have to admit, I hate hunting people down to book them for this show. I always cringe when I DM them. I do it anyway, but I hate it. And it's nerve-wracking, you know? I would think that I've booked so many people for so many different shows that maybe at this point I would be immune to it, but I'm not. I still hate it. The best thing that can happen is when one of my friends or somebody that's been on the show intros me to one of the people that I've been hunting down. And that is exactly what happened for the episode you were about to listen to. You might be familiar with Irene Tu. You might have seen her viral Instagram where she talks about big they energy. Irene is funny as shit, and she is getting bigger and bigger. So if she comes to your city or a city near you, I do recommend you go now because I really see a bright future for her. I mean, she's already acting the part of being incredibly famous for rebooking this episode 1,000 times. But I enjoyed talking to her. She made me laugh, and I hope you enjoy. Lesbians feel like they're having a little bit of a moment.
Are they? I'm not.
No?
I'm so single.
Oh, like that. I thought like meant like comedy-wise, media-wise, but we can take it right to the, you're single.
Yeah. I'm going to die a nun.
You think so?
No, I don't know. I'm not. I'm in my nun era.
You're very like
I'm not really
hot on fire. I mean, I feel like you're in my feed all the time.
Thank you, Daddy algorithm, for that.
You're the only person I know benefiting from the algorithm.
Well, I feel like you're the only person who said that my stuff's populating their feed.
It has been for a while though, or maybe we just have so many mutual friends.
That's probably true too. I don't know how the algorithm works. I feel like some people are like, I never see your stuff. And then you're like, I always see your stuff.
I do always see your stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like we actually have so many things in common, maybe.
Such as?
San Francisco Bay Area, Berkeley.
Yes, I did live there.
Did you like living there?
I loved it. I would live there in a heartbeat again. But
I feel like you would really thrive.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, I mean, I moved down here because of comedy. And acting and yada yada.
But I gotta tell you, I was a big fish in a small pond when I was acting in San Francisco, and I fucking crushed.
Yeah,
I made a grip of money, and then I came down here, and they're like, "You're fat," and I was like,
"What?
What?" Yeah, no, I was.
They said you're fat.
Yeah, but I was so thin back then. That's the problem. And now I mean,
you're not even fat now. So
thank you so
I don't
much.
know.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's crazy.
Millennials, we are beaten down at every turn. Can't afford a house, have a house, can't afford a mortgage, can't ever fucking leave it. Fucking nonstop 2008, right
I
when
feel
we're
like
graduating.
you just flexed on me about you having a house.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm not trying to flex about having a house. I have the oldest fixer-upper house on the planet. It's like nonstop job. It's awful. I have no savings. Like literally Whole Foods, a thing of the past. It's Smart and Final only.
I love that.
I love Smart and Final. Have you ever been there?
I have not, but I've been to like an Aldi. You know what an Aldi is?
No. Oh, you're laughing. You know what it is? What's an Aldi?
That might be a Midwest thing.
Yeah, I'm not from the Midwest.
Okay.
Is it like Smart and Final?
I don't know. I haven't been to a Smart and Final.
Oh, it'll change your life.
That's why I was trying to make the comparison. I was like,
10 out of 10 recommend. You can get like, oh my God, I did a whole reel on it. It was the most geriatric millennial thing I've ever done. My wife was embarrassed. She's like, did you just make a reel about how much you love Smart and Final? I was like,
okay,
sure,
what is it at Smart? Because Aldi it has like everything, but but the place smells a little weird.
Same.
Do you know what I mean? Okay, that's 100%. Why I think it's the same thing.
It's sounding like we're same thing. What I like about Smart and Final is that they have hella like ethnic foods that you can't find at Whole Foods or a Ralph's or a Trader Joe's, which I like. Being from the Bay, I grew up lucky to be eating all types of shit, and I need certain things that you can't find at other places. And then they have like jalapeno poppers. But like you can buy a big box of them. and organic vegetables.
This is seeming more like a Costco.
It is, but a Costco light, and you don't need a membership.
Yeah, because Costco is, you got to get the giant packs of stuff. And,
and it's not like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, I digress.
This was an unsponsored
So you're single.
episode.
Yeah, exactly. Sponsor me. Oh my God, could you imagine? I would.
Oh my God, you would
jazzed.
die if they Smart and Final sponsored you.
I would die. I did recently. I begged for an eye drop company. I was like, oh my God, love these eye drops.
Okay.
Sponsor me. Sent me a whole box.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Dreams can happen. You just got closed mouths don't get fed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're single, because I was just watching a couple of jokes about you not being single.
Well, you know how time passes.
Time moves so quickly and so slowly all at the same time.
And you know how jokes keep getting told when they're not true.
True.
Yeah. So no, yeah, I am single.
And you don't like it.
No, I do like it. I'm in my nun era. I'm like, I like it. It's just, sometimes you go to an event and you're like, oh, it's all couples and me.
But what an opportunity. I mean, now it's all about the throuple. What's your vibe on being in a throuple? You look shook.
Who said it's about the throuple?
Oh my God, have you not seen Couple to Throuple? It's unhinged.
Wait, this is a thing? Couple,
it's a show on Peacock.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Shocking. Spoiler alert. None of these couples should be in a throuple. Like, none of them. I'm like watching this show being like, what the actual fuck? But you wouldn't be interested in a throuple.
Okay, so let me just get this straight. So the throuple is that like a couple is like, let's add a third, or three people just decide we're a throuple? Because that's two different things.
You know what? It's so interesting. I thought it was the former. I thought it's typically a couple. All the people I know in a throuple, I've been in a throuple.
Okay. Well, were you? So that's why
I was the third.
You were the person added after the couple was a couple.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think also all three people could come together collectively.
Right. But that was my question, is how do you get into the throuple? Is it like, oh, you liked two people and then everyone's like, yeah, let's just do it? Or was it like, we're a couple and we're like, well, we like this third person?
I think it could be either or. Would you ever do it though?
I would not want to be the third.
Why?
I feel like they would be like fighting over me. Like, it's like you're entering.
What an ideal situation.
No, I don't like that.
Really? Why not?
I'm a child of divorce. I don't need that.
You just know it too well.
I don't want that. I don't want two people fighting over me or ignoring me completely, just fighting with each other.
Yeah, fair enough.
I
kind of like the idea of just everybody wanting me and then competitively trying to get my attention.
No, I hate that. I hate it.
Because potentially I'm a narcissist.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm not. I hate myself. But who knows? Like,
so you liked being the third?
I didn't, because I obviously liked the girl more than the boy.
Oh. Is it always?
Oh, no. Watch Couple to Throuple.
Okay,
they got gays, theys, everybody's, bisexual, poly, pan.
Okay, but what is it like typically? Is it more common that it's like a straight couple and then a girl? Or?
I think so, but I also think it's quite common for gay men because, gay boys.
Okay, so it's like two gay men plus a third gay man?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just gay.
That tracks, I feel like.
Because they just be fucking.
Yeah. And they love that.
But I have a lesbian couple who's married with children, and they had a third girlfriend. Okay. And they loved it. But it doesn't sound like this is something interesting to you.
It seems so stressful.
Yeah. I think for me, the problem would be it's like stressful. It's a lot of time management.
It's a lot. I was just going to say, that's too much coordinating. I can barely get one friend to eat lunch with me, and now I have to see what two other people are doing.
You rescheduled more times than the most famous people I've ever had on this show. And I've had pretty famous people on the show.
I did.
I called Allie Colbert. I'm like, what's up with this Irene? Allie's like, oh, she's great. I'm like, she's tough. I was like, is she on it? What's happening over here? No, it's fine. I love it.
You just happened to ask me when I got booked for.
I
was on After Midnight.
So great.
And it was a last minute kind of, they were like, hey, you want to do it Tuesday?
You're like, I didn't even know what this podcast was. I don't even know who this chick is.
I mean,
who is this person?
Well, it was like, okay, I agreed to do this podcast. Then they're like, do you want to be on TV? And I'm like, obviously, yes. And then I'm like, well, podcast girl who I've not met before, we're going to have to reschedule.
Which, fair enough. I was like, but the problem is like you get people booked and then you don't want them to slip through your fingers.
Sure.
That has happened to me. And boy, that hurts.
Yeah. I mean, I feel too bad all the time about letting someone else down. So that would never happen. I would just, like I did, have to reschedule a couple times. But I would show up.
Okay, eventually.
And I'm
here you are.
I am here.
What I love, or one of the many clips that I've seen of yours that I love on Instagram that is constantly populating my feed, is the big they energy. That seemed to be something that like really resonated. But I also, by the way, I am the sorceress of the internet and love to deem things viral. And I would say that went viral.
Yeah, I would say it went a little viral.
How did that? Well, one, give us the background for it. How do you feel about having big they energy?
So I wrote that joke, I think like a year or so ago. And it's because I use she, her pronouns, but people would always they, me.
Which like, wow.
Just automatically assume.
What a time to be alive.
And I was like, okay, but that wasn't really what I was like. I'm not really going with that. It's fine. It's because of my haircut and stuff. So then I just thought it was so funny that I wrote it into a joke where I'm like, well, I have big they energy, and people seem to be like, I get that, with the hair. And then it was part of the set, my Don't Tell set, and they posted as a clip, and people really seem to gravitate toward that.
Do you feel like you have to continue with the they or the non-binary jokes?
So it is tough because since that joke went a little viral, it used to be like my opening joke.
Sure.
Because people didn't know me, and it's like an easy way to start the set where I'm like, oh yeah, I look like this. And people are like, oh, that's funny. I get it. And then I go on with the rest of my material. But now a lot of people do know the joke, so it doesn't hit as well if I open with it. So I've kind of moved it to like slightly later in my set. So that's kind of interesting. And for me, I've been more interested in talking about stuff that's not about what I look like or being gay. Because the first album I did was a lot about me being gay and jokes about that. And I just have other things I want to talk about right now.
Could you imagine talking about anything else? No, and I love that because, when I told you who I was, when you walked in here looking slightly scared after I hugged you deeply and freaked out about your sweatshirt. No, it wasn't that.
You just freaked out over my sweatshirt, and I was like, oh, okay.
I'm also a hugger.
Yeah.
I really am. Especially because I was like on the phone with Allie, and she's like, tell her I was like,
yeah.
It's like the whitest thing about me is my like, come here. Like, you know what I mean? To strangers, they're like, the pandemic. I'm like, what is that? But I was telling you about my previous show, and that's what I mean. I was like kind of sick of like, I'm like, oh my God, how much more can I talk about being gay? Like what are the levels of it? But you also tell a different joke that had me giggling hard, was where you talk about, potentially being non-binary and coming out to your parents. And the joke, if I may summarize, is essentially it would be better to just like pick a gender. You're like, my parents immigrated here. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like pick a gender. And it's like, they would almost prefer me to be a boy because it's better to be a boy comic than like a female doctor, which is a great joke.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Because it's so layered and it's so wonderful. And I feel like, misogyny is one of those things where it is funny because it's still quite active. And then it's also really interesting how in the queer community, how misogyny, especially in lesbianism, still sort of like reigns supreme as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, go more into that. Yeah.
Okay, so for instance, my wife also a lot of your jokes my wife loves because like you guys have the same haircut.
Okay.
Like the airport security had me dying because fucking Rachel hates going through the airport security. They always wanted to have to do like a fucking touching her, patting her down. They're always confused. Terrible. They never know. If we fly internationally, like we went through China and it was like
They were just fully confused. Well, the thing is,
I'm so confused. And I
it's
was like, here
crazy
we go.
to me because I'm like, have TSA agents never seen lesbians?
I don't know, because I see nothing but TSA lesbians.
Yeah.
So that is wildly, and like people that seem like they're ex-cons. And I'm like, how do you have this job? Doesn't everyone at the airport seem slightly shady?
Yeah.
I'm just, maybe it's LAX.
Yeah, but then they're like, I'm confused about your gender. But I'm like, you've never seen this before. You're telling me you've never, not a single time, encountered this.
You're like, I'm pretty sure at the city county prison that you emerged from, everyone looked like me. But yeah, no, so for her, you know, because she's more like male presenting or like non-binary presenting, I don't know. She would be like, Liz, what are you saying? But she doesn't identify as being a butch by any means, but she's just like a little bit more like
more masculine
yeah. Of center. Or
yeah.
Is that what the gays say?
No, that's right.
I don't know. So people always assume like she's going to pay or she's going to open up my door or like she's the one with the answers. Now, are all of those things sometimes very true? Yeah, I definitely don't have the answers to anything. But it's not always the case. Or I'm like, no, I can fucking pay for this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Whatever. This cronut. I don't know where that came from. Felt gay. But you know what I'm saying? And so it's like even that massage. And then when I moved to LA from San Francisco, and when did you move to the Bay?
I moved to the Bay in 2012.
Okay, so remember like the Lexington?
I went one time, and I think it was right before it closed.
Okay, I too, even though I'm from there, went one time because I was scared and I went by myself. And speaking of prison, a San Quentin prison guard who had a long, low ponytail and was wearing flip-flops with bell-bottom jeans was the only person that talked to me that entire night.
You really remember that too.
Oh my God. It's like seared into my memory, and like a weird graphic t-shirt and a flannel shirt like on top open as if it was like a light jacket. Yeah.
Yeah, you really remember that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because it was like the first lesbian that really talked to me in a bar.
Yeah.
But
R.I.P. by the way.
R.I.P. But when I would go out to lesbian clubs or whatever, it would be like because I'm more femme.
Yeah.
Like the only people that would holler at me were like way more butch or like, and I felt that being very hard to navigate because I'm like, no, I don't want to be in this fucked up misogynistic patriarchal relationship. I want to be with a woman. I mean, also like open all the doors for me and pay for me because I don't want to do any of that. And like, ooh, open up that beer with your tooth. I'm just kidding. But in all seriousness, I felt this like we are still perpetuating misogyny even in our queer spaces.
Yes.
And so I like that you're taking, sorry, that was really long-winded, but I really love that you're taking this like they and non-binary conversation and then layering it all that.
Yeah.
other.
Yeah. I think the other thing too is like I think the reason I struggle with people being like, oh, like you're non-binary, whatever. I just don't feel like that's like me. Because I feel like there's like a community that's like, I'm non-binary and, you know, these are the things I like. And I kind of, honestly, my personality, very straight.
In what way? Please elaborate. I mean, other than the fact that you just bodied cherry sour strips like it was fucking nothing before this. Like that felt like very straight.
I feel like my personality is like a white girl from the suburbs. Like I love Taylor Swift. I like going to the mall.
What do you do at the mall? Just walk around?
Yeah, I'll walk around. I love to hang out at a mall. I'm pretty boring, honestly.
Okay.
I like to go to bed early. I just don't like do.
Your skin looks great. I mean, you must go to bed
you.
early. I never do.
This is genetic or something. I don't know.
I'm like, must watch one more murder show. It's like, okay.
I feel like I never go to like any queer parties.
Why?
Or events. I'm not a party person.
That doesn't track at all.
Why does that not track?
That was a joke.
Yeah.
Catch me at my stand-up show in my car on my way to Glendale on the 134 freeway. It's a one-person show.
I'm just kind of like very like.
But what do you like
boring.
to do other than walk around the mall? Like, which malls are you going to?
I don't know. The Grove.
Okay.
The Americana.
Oh, holler at me next time. I'll roll down.
They got a fountain there.
They have a fountain everywhere.
Yeah. I'm just like I'm kind of a homebody. I'm just kind of like boring. And I feel like
I don't think you're. I mean, I don't.
I
think
don't.
if
I want to say.
wa-
I don't want to even say like I'm trying to reclaim boring, not as like a negative thing. Also,
Okay.
because I feel like when people say boring, it's like so negative. But I just
Yeah.
like
You're into
want to
it.
be healthy and like go to bed early and read and like that's what I mean by boring.
Yeah. Well, what about if it's peaceful
Sure.
versus boring?
Okay.
Peaceful, because the comedy scene is not that peaceful.
Oh, it's not. It's not.
Is that
Well, it's a
also
lot
maybe
of-
what it has to do with? You're like, dude, I can't. This is a lot, and you just go home.
Well, I think it's also like a lot of comedy is like hanging out at like a show or a club or you going to do something after your spots, and I honestly want to do my set and then go home.
I mean, it's
I'm
a
just like
great
an
way to make
introvert.
friends. What? Yes.
I'm an introvert.
That's okay. And then you get
Yeah.
on stage and you're like, let me tell my darkest secrets and like talk about like my relationships. And
Yeah.
how do you feel about that? I mean, I know you're currently in your nun era,
I'm in my nun era. Yes.
but when you are going to be in your next relationship
Yeah.
and when you were in your past relationship, do you have a policy about telling jokes about your person?
I don't usually tell a lot of jokes about who I'm dating. And if I do, I'll be like, oh, I'm kind of doing this joke about you. But I kind of run it by them if I do a joke. But I don't usually do a ton of jokes about like the current person I'm dating.
Yeah, you don't want to pull a Che Diaz.
I didn't watch it.
You can skip it. But
I know the reference.
do you know what I'm talking about?
I know the reference, but I also know very little of the reference.
It's pretty gnarly. Like, it was a scene that I will say was actually written in a way that evoked an emotion from me, which a lot of this season did not.
Yeah.
But
I just know people, a lot of queer or non-binary people were very angry at the.
It's a bummer that
At the-
was the person that
Yeah.
was, or the character. I shouldn't say the person.
character.
I don't know them. You know what I mean? I don't want to like.
I will say the actress or actor.
They're also non-binary. That was the whole thing.
Yes.
Sarah Ramirez
Yes.
follows you on Instagram.
No. Shared the joke of mine. The non-binary joke. Doesn't follow me on Instagram, I don't think.
Perhaps you should then watch. No? At least the clip that I'm referring to.
I don't want to start
You don't
from
care.
the beginning of the
Yeah,
show.
yeah,
well,
you
there's
don't.
that's a whole thing.
I'll
never
summarize.
I never watched Sex and the City,
To
the
begin with.
original. So
Oh.
I feel like I have to watch that so I can watch the new one.
Yeah.
So then I can know this one reference. And that's a lot to watch.
It is. It is. I mean, did you watch anything during the pandemic that you had missed? Or did you read and write jokes?
Oh, you mean of
like in general? Like, was there any show? Like, for instance, my wife had never seen The Sopranos, which I was like,
Oh,
oh
I see.
boy, we got to buckle in.
no, I think I just watched trash TV. I don't think I watched anything good.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, so I think I think it's a smart position to not joke about, because typically when you joke about something, it's something quite serious, and that's why it resonates with all of us, and we all want to then cry and die. But it's a tricky thing, because I feel like if you're going through a breakup or whatever, you almost want to cathartically, especially if you're an introvert, when you're cameras pointing at you, talk about your feelings, right?
Well, what's the question?
That's a great question that you asked me. I don't know what that question was. It's that, is it hard for you to not talk about your personal life?
Oh, I mean, I do. I just feel like I do, but it's usually delayed. I don't usually talk about something immediately, or maybe I might like at an open mic or something, but like I won't write it into my set about something that like just happened to me. Usually I have to like process the information before I can make it funny.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Because I feel like, they say comedy is what, tragedy plus time. So you need the time part of the thing to make it funny. Otherwise, it's just sad.
went viral with Emma Willman about lesbian math. So math, when you start getting to math,
I love Emma Willman.
My sweetie little baby angel. We were discussing about how we were both in after school programs, math. Look it up. It's very viral. It's on TikTok, like 8 million views or something.
Oh, damn. That's a lot.
I have literally 1,000 followers on TikTok. Couldn't tell you. Nothing makes sense. Math makes no sense. Time makes no sense. I'm all in a continuum. Who even knows? I couldn't tell you. It's wild. But math, I'm like, so.
Yeah.
You were,
No, but they say the equation is tragedy plus time equals comedy. So I usually need more time before I can make
the tragedy funny.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just tragic.
So as I research people, and for you, I feel like I've been in the know because you're in my algorithm. We have all the same friends. We've been through this. But I was like, okay, looking on your website with lots of tour dates coming up, which is very exciting.
Thank you.
Netflix
Yes, please
is a joke.
come see me on tour.
100%. You're going to like Winnipeg or something random.
I'm not going to Winnipeg, but I will go to Winnipeg if someone wants to bring me.
No,
I'm going to
Ann
Toronto.
Arbor? Toronto. Okay.
And I am in Ann Arbor, but that probably will have already passed by the time this comes out.
When are you going? Like tomorrow?
It's Saturday.
Okay, yeah. This is in the future.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But I have to tell you.
Okay.
And I've been interviewing people for a very long time.
Okay.
On lots of different shows, mediums, research. I'm always like, where can I find? How can I really get to know someone?
Okay. I'm nervous.
Typically.
I'm nervous where this is heading.
Don't be nervous. Don't worry. But typically, it's hard. Like, I
kind of feel like I know what you're going to say, but I want to hear you say it.
And it's hard because I'm like, okay, I'm watching, and I'll listen to interviews. But I also, if I'm being honest, you said you have never listened to this podcast, obviously, or any podcast apparently, except for one. But I don't like to listen to any podcast with people that are coming on my show because I don't want to like ask the same. I don't want to be influenced.
Sure.
Or maybe that's just an excuse to be lazy. But what usually is not helpful, but is the opposite in the case of you.
I already know what it's going to say. Yep.
I have never, and not to even like to my own horn, but I think it's important and I think it's relevant right now. I have interviewed some of the most famous people on the planet. You wouldn't know it because I only have 13,000 followers on the internet, but it's true. I have never read a more detailed Wikipedia.
I knew you were going to say it.
In my career.
I knew you were going to say Wikipedia. I 100%.
Mariah Carey's, I even went to reference, isn't as detailed. Janet Jackson, if Miss Nasty, not as detailed. I have never in my life, we're talking, and just for reference, people, we're talking about science club in middle school. We're talking like age 16. I mean, played piano for 10 years. Who wrote this Wikipedia?
I don't know.
Lies. It had to have been you.
I've been trying to get someone to take that down or alter it because it's so much. It's creepy.
Irene,
I need you to be fan honest. Of mine.
KQED, Women to Watch. I love that, obviously, from being from the Bay. I mean, it is.
A fan of mine really wanted to put all my stuff out there.
So Wikipedia. She had to have sent this to you.
I don't know who it is, but it's probably a lady or a non-binary person. And
she loved watching Ellen DeGeneres' The Ellen Show every day after school, which inspired to Google what Ellen did before she was famous for her show. She discovered that Ellen began her career as a I bet you Ellen's Wikipedia doesn't even hold a candle to this.
It's
at
wild.
Age 16, she began class. I mean, this is just...
You know what
who knew environmental science? She found the subject ultimately too depressing and moved on, switched. Irene, okay, I couldn't love you more.
Well, now that we're doing a podcast that you're putting out, I'm guarantee you they're going to take some clip from some info from this and add it to the Wikipedia page. Because I looked at the page, it's all like probably stuff I've said on podcasts. So I think they've listened to me on a podcast and then taken the information and put it on my Wikipedia page.
I mean, it is just...
It's too much. It's weird.
Wonderful.
It's horrifying.
It's not because I was like, wow, thank you, dear, dear, dear fan club president of Irene Tu. I mean, we even talk about Pluto shows, Pluto TV. Also in 2018, Tu was featured on Out on Stage. I mean, this is amazing. I bet
you there's something wrong in there, though. There's got to be at least one or two like things that are wrong, or probably some like something I said on a podcast that probably wasn't true or something.
All right, maybe let's see. I didn't think this was going to be a segment, but here we go. Where did you realize that you were first gay?
I went to a summer program
Okay, that's in there.
in high school. Yeah.
Who is your favorite Harry Potter character?
Hermione, obviously.
Oh, this is pretty accurate so far.
I feel like those are like easy questions.
Okay.
Like none of those are going to be like my password, like my security questions.
I would hope not.
Yeah.
I mean, those
are too easy.
Eastwind Books of Berkeley, great bookstore, by the way.
I did, it's gone now.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like only online now because the rent got jacked up.
That sucks.
Yeah.
During the pandemic?
Like right after, yeah.
Wow, that's sad. Well, I just have to tell you, I mean, the signs of somebody that are either are so famous or are going to be so famous is a very lengthy and detailed Wikipedia
I really
page.
wish it wasn't that lengthy and detailed. I want just like a normal Wikipedia page that has.
What if you like started to say
info.
Crazy shit on
That's
podcasts?
what I kind of want to do. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I kind of want to just make something up on a podcast and then see if they put it in there.
Please let it be this one. Tell me some crazy shit. Where as an introvert are you meeting people that you potentially want to date? Online?
I'm not. I'm a nun.
Okay, but when you were not in your nun era.
I don't. This is what I don't usually
Where did you
date.
meet your last girlfriends?
I would run into them at like a show.
Like their fans?
No, one of my girlfriends, two of my girlfriends I met in college. So like taking classes.
Was it
someone I met
environmental studies or
No.
Asian studies?
One of them was not either really. One was at like an event in college, and then one I met through like an extracurricular activity. So not like in class, but like in college.
I love that. Okay, so you're meeting them in classes, you're meeting them in school, and then you're meeting them at shows.
I pretty much exclusively meet people in real life on accident. I don't like the apps I've tried. Not for me.
Why not?
I feel like you don't really get to know someone on an app.
Like, yeah, I mean, you could be catfished. I mean, which would be so fun.
Yeah, well, sure. Well, I mean, I don't even mean that. I just feel like people talk differently via texting than in person.
I don't. It was almost the downfall.
I
know it was almost the downfall for my current. I'm like married for a million years.
Your wife?
My wife. But we were introduced. I was hosting a show on a stage. So she had seen me, but I hadn't seen her.
Okay.
But we got introduced and she hadn't texted me for like days. And I thought she was going to.
Okay.
And when she finally did, I wrote, "Oh shit." But it was I was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. But
what's good?
But she was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, exactly. So you're right.
That's what I mean. It's like you can't really tell the tone or like how they actually talk via texting.
Got it.
Also, some people text really formal. Some people are more casual, like, I'll swear or whatever. And then some people are not very great at spelling. And that is one of my pet peeves.
But what about if it's autocorrect?
What do you mean?
Like, you know how sometimes you're typing so fast?
No, but I can tell if it's autocorrect or not, or you really can't spell. Well, look, Taylor Swift's boyfriend, Travis Kelce, he can't spell at all. They seem like they're really in love, but he really cannot spell.
Would you consider yourself a Swiftie?
Yes.
What's your take on, do you think it's a match made in? I'm very surprised.
I'm surprised that it happened just because he said it on a podcast that he wanted to give her his number, and then they did meet. So I thought that was crazy, but they do seem cute together. So I think they're going to get married.
The Viva, I think he said it 4 times.
Las Vegas. Yeah.
Was it for me. Any slight interest in watching them have sex went out the window.
Look, I don't want to see them have sex.
Why not?
I mean, I don't want to watch them.
You don't like straight people having sex?
I don't want to watch people have sex in general.
Ever.
Not really. I'm a nun.
Oh my God. But you weren't I've listened. You do talk about sex in your show.
In my first album, I do. In this new hour, I don't.
No gayness. No
there's
sex.
a little gayness, but there's no sex in this hour, I don't believe. Yeah.
You've been vocal about the whole orgasm situation.
Yeah.
And you're done talking about it.
I mean, I can talk about it. There's just nothing else to say about it.
But so basically you have said that you have never had an orgasm.
Correct.
Alone or with anyone.
Correct.
Is this something that we are working towards? Are you curious? Are you ambivalent?
It's something that if it happened, I'd be like, oh, cool. Like, that's what it is. But it's not something I'm actively working towards or even passively.
I don't think you can passively, or maybe you can.
Yeah, you probably could passively, right? Look, I know one of my ex-girlfriends told me sometimes she would get a massage and then she would have an orgasm. I feel like that's passively.
Yeah, you know what? That happened to me one time. It was,
See?
but I was very hungover.
Okay.
And it was in San Francisco, and I think he was gay. And he was just like really giving me a massage, and I got the massage on Groupon. It was
this story has so many random details.
I know, and the massage parlor or studio was like on Sutter, like near Sutter and Stockton, which is so fucking sketch, near Union Square.
Yeah,
and I like went upstairs. I don't know. I was so broke, and I was like, let me treat myself, and I did feel like I either was about to have an orgasm. I don't think I had an orgasm.
Yeah,
that would be crazy because then I'd have to like hide the orgasm happening.
Passive.
What if you had an orgasm and you just don't realize it?
I feel like I would know based on what everyone said about it.
But they come in all shapes and
I really
varieties.
I don't think there's been a second where I'm like, oh, was that it? Like, I'm pretty sure I'm like, no, I don't think I've had.
Do you like to have sex?
Yeah, I like to have sex. It's just at some point we just stop.
Because you're like, I'm over it.
Yeah.
I feel like in some ways
I'm like, just like, it's been long enough.
Yeah, but apparently I'm not patient. I would have been like, girl, we gotta go. I got shit to do.
Yeah, but also I have the thing where I feel bad. So I'm like, oh.
I know, but that's what I'm worried about. Is it mental?
Yeah.
What about just figuring it out on your own? You don't like to do that.
I don't. Yeah, I get very disinterested so quickly.
Because you're like thinking you're pressuring in your mind.
No, I just get bored.
What stimulates you? Not sexual, like anything other than sour stress.
Oh yeah, sour. Yeah, I love
candies.
Food. I will say I'm obsessed with food, like good food, and I have that need to like be really good at something. So that's kind of what drives me.
Do we think that perfectionism is potentially hindering your ability to let go and have an orgasm?
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Do you think it's been built up?
I think at one point, like earlier when I was younger, I think it was like, oh, like this is a thing that everyone's doing. And like, I don't like, it did feel like, oh, I should have one, or like, I don't know what's going on.
Right.
And then it got to a point where I'm like, oh, I don't care. So now I just don't care.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel like I mean, a lot of it has to do with me being medicated and depressed. But sex for me is like, it's so much more about being intimate. I've had a lot of sex.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know. For me at this point in my life, I mean, I've had a lot of great sex, but intimacy was something that I didn't really have and trust.
Yeah.
And that took so long for me to like learn and figure out and understand. I think a lot of it was also, I was like dating men where I was like, okay, well, I can like have an orgasm because it's just like, whatever. But I would feel so uncomfortable all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess also like I've had sex with a couple people that I was like, we're definitely not going to date, or I'm not like really that into, or just, you know, it's kind of like a casual thing. And like while we were having sex, I was like, oh, I don't want to, none of this interests me really at all. Like I was like, so like not into it.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like if I have sex with someone, I have to like really be into that person to like be into it at all.
Yeah. I mean,
otherwise I'm just like,
you're like, I got to go to the mall.
Look, I'm like, I got to do my taxes. I got to write some jokes.
It's time.
I could be sleeping right now. I got to work out. Like there are so many other things I could be doing right now.
That give you joy?
Yeah, I would say so.
Taxes?
That doesn't give me joy, but it does move my life forward.
God, the taxes.
I know.
God, you know what? In this educational system in this country.
Why do they make them so complicated?
Well, I don't know. I didn't know that you're supposed to fucking pay your taxes quarterly. Did you know that?
I did know that, but I don't understand it.
I'm almost 40 years old. I've had my own business. I've worked for some of the biggest companies in the country. How did I not know? And I've been doing my taxes every year. Why didn't anybody tell me that?
I don't know why they just don't tell you this is how much you owe us. And you're like, great, here you go. Like, I don't want to do these weird loopholes.
God. I mean, the person who does my taxes they're all so weird. People who do taxes are like
accountants.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are like borderline fringe libertarian, like, because they're like, I think they know too much. Which I'm like, be fringe, be libertarian, rub your little batteries together and live off the land. I don't give a fuck what you do, but just make sure I don't have to pay as much as humanly possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you like animals?
Yeah. Well, I felt like you asked me.
That felt like a no.
I felt like I don't know how to answer that because I do eat meat.
So do I, but I love animals. All I do are watch little dog videos on Instagram, and I really want to live on a farm.
Okay, I don't love animals like that much.
Like, you don't have an animal?
No, and I never would.
Ever?
But I love animals living in their natural environment. Like, I love like a panda in the panda habitat.
A panda will fuck your ass up.
Yeah, and I want them to live like that. Or like I like, like I like National animals. Geographic, like, like, oh, there's a bear eating a salmon or whatever. I mean, I think that's cool, but I'm not going to have a pet bear.
No, but you don't want a dog or a cat.
No.
What if you were dating someone after your nun era and they had an animal?
One of my exes did have 2 cats, and I didn't love it.
Why?
I'm a little bit allergic.
That tracks for you. That feels
right?
consistent. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't like pets. I like animals, but I don't like pets.
I knew it.
You know I don't like pets?
Yeah.
Of course. I don't like pets.
Like, you wouldn't even have a fish? Some Tetris fish?
I could have a fish, I think. I think the other thing is, like, you have to, like, feed it all the time.
But you're home.
But I'm not home. I'm on the road a lot.
Oh, got it. You're in the hotel.
Yeah,
you're in the
like
hotel, the motel, the Holiday Inn.
Like, how am I supposed to know when I'm feeding this fish?
Fair enough.
Gone. I got to get someone to feed my fish?
Yeah, hell no. Not in North Hollywood.
No.
You know what's so funny about North Hollywood is, like, so many people move there when they first come to LA. And I'm like, do you realize that this is actually quite far during rush peak hours to Hollywood? And I don't think people know that. Is that the only
I'm
place?
not driving to Hollywood in peak rush hour.
No, we're here on an off time.
Exactly.
Which I'm down for.
Yeah.
I was worried. I was like, oh no, please don't say like 6 p.m. or like 9 a.m. But you did.
It's never going to be 6 p.m. because I'm a comic. So.
Don't those shows start later?
Yeah, like 7 or 8, but I got to like eat and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
because if we did 6 p.m., we'd end at 7. I have to go straight to the show. And
do you do a show every night almost?
Almost, yeah.
What's your favorite show to do in LA?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know, but I like the shows at the Comedy Store and like Dynasty Typewriter. Those are 2 different venues, but I like both of those vibes. I don't know. There's a lot of good shows. I feel like it's like hard for me to say like what's the best show, because it's like it's either like you're doing a club show or like some hip indie show, Yeah,
I like the hip indie shows. I've been going to some hip indie shows as of late.
Yeah.
Just to like really feel hip and indie.
Yeah.
And it's successful. And I like it. And they're mostly queer, which I'm into.
Are there a lot of queer shows now?
Yeah. You know Rachel Scanlon.
Of course I know Rachel Scanlon.
She's
a
my
good
little
friend.
Baby sweetie angel as well. She has that backyard show.
Oh, yeah. That is a fun show. I think they just moved it to a new backyard.
Yeah, in Los Feliz-ish.
I don't remember, but I remember the original backyard. I think it was in WeHo, and it's no longer there.
It's not. It's in another one. And actually, Cameron, who I know is your friend and a friend of the pod, we talked at length about how like the neighbors were screaming at Cameron. It was actually the funniest show. And there were no seats. And we arrived late, and they like made me sit in the front row. I'm actually an amazing audience member.
Yeah,
because
you seem like you have a great laugh.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of like witch cackle with vibrato.
Okay,
but I love to laugh. Talk about, what I actually will say, and I've said it before, but I'll say it to you. I think laughing so hard and like getting just like uncontrollable giggles is better than an orgasm.
I mean, I do be laughing.
Like, just like I did mushrooms the other day
Okay.
and I could not stop laughing on the mushrooms and see my whole face. And it's also because of Botox is like being a little weird right now. But I couldn't stop laughing and I just fucking love to laugh. So I had to sit in the front row because there were no other seats. And I was like, I don't want to sit in the front row because I like know all these people.
Yeah.
And Rachel was like, get your fucking ass in the front row. And I was like, oh God. And then Cameron came on and was like, hi, Liz. And I was like, hi. But it was fun. And like this neighbor like was screaming because it was amplified. It was actually very funny.
So they're going to still do the show there if the neighbor was screaming?
I think they are maybe.
Okay.
YOLO. Do people still say that?
No.
Okay. Well, I did just now.
But that's an outdoor show. Yeah, there's a lot less of those now, the outdoor shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're fun, but I think when it gets cold, it's not great.
I mean, if it's below 70 degrees,
people are like,
we are not fucking
Yeah.
having it. I'm going to circle back to what I sort of asked you in the beginning, which was, are lesbians having a moment? But I'm going to reframe.
Ooh, okay.
Because now we've had some time to get to know each other.
Yeah.
The sour candies have settled in.
Yeah. I mean, I'm waiting to eat another one.
You're riding fucking.
Am I allowed to eat one while we're talking?
No.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm not gonna.
It's the smacking.
Oh, I see.
Some listener named fucking Sandra or something will be
Sandra.
like, Liz, whatever.
That's
And
fair.
I feel like queer comedy is actually really having a moment. Is that safe to say?
I think that's true.
Or it's like more powers and numbers, or like, I don't know. I feel like it's an exciting time for queer comedy.
I do feel like it is a lot more queer comedians doing comedy now. I don't know if that's based in fact or not. That's just my feeling. It just seems like more than before.
Yeah. I mean, we could ask this person that wrote your Wikipedia.
Oh, God.
Because they certainly have facts and information on that.
Hey, if you're the person that wrote my Wikipedia, can you just like condense it?
No, it's beautiful.
Really
it's a work of art. Please write mine.
Oh, no.
Please write mine.
Oh, no.
I have no fans. So it's fine.
I do think it's like a numbers thing. And also I think people have been didn't know that they were missing it. Because before social media, the only comedy you got was whatever they put on TV.
Yeah.
And now you can just watch whatever you want on your phone. So people are discovering queer comedians they didn't know. And they're like, oh, this is awesome. I want more of this. So I think that's kind of what's helping with queer comedians.
Yeah, because you've done like Gays R Us, Bruce's show. Yeah. And I think when I first moved to LA, that was really, it's a weekly show here in LA.
They still do that, right?
Yeah. Bruce Daniels, shout out. I adore you. Actually, you should come on this podcast if you're listening. Aaron Foley, who I've known forever. Like that was funny. Paige, you know, it was like such Gloria, who's been on the show, Paige, everybody. That was such kind of like the only show, but it was great because it would happen on Wednesdays and we would all like go out together afterward. It just felt wonderful. But what I love seeing is like Rachel Scanlon's backyard show. Cameron's doing the monthly show at Dynasty, not at Dynasty, and somewhere else.
Yeah, I think it's Elysian, maybe.
Elysian, yeah. Sorry, but but there's also a bunch of queer stuff happening. It's like great. I love it actually because I think for so long, I mean, if you were a fan of comedy at all, you would go. There'd be like one woman maybe on the bill.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is like before when you would go to a club, I think you were more of an outlier if you were like queer in the audience because it was like a lot of like straight people in the crowd. And I think it might have felt more unsafe to go to like a club show.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know if there's going to be any gay people on the show. And I'm like the only gay person in the crowd. I feel weird.
Totally.
So people didn't want to go to shows. And now there's just like so many other shows happening and types of shows where I'm like, oh, there's a bunch of queer comics in the show. Queer people can come hang out and it's like an exciting thing to go to.
I love it because as you said earlier, trauma and time.
It's tragedy.
Tragedy.
Which is also trauma, I would say it was tragedy.
So
That's
trauma.
similar.
All right, fine. Tease.
Yeah.
I think that it's nice because I think, we've all been through a bunch of shit. And I think the only way, I mean, for me to get through anything has really been to laugh through it, you know,
Yeah.
or eat my way through it or drink my way through it, but I'm still alive.
Yeah.
But no, I'm serious. Like, it is so nice that I think that, and I feel like at least in LA, it's been really fun to watch. I've met so many new comedians and new folks, and it's just been awesome because for so long I would go to shows and it'd be like, dudes being like, and then I like sucked his dick, just kidding. And I'm like, well, like, I don't want to hear about sucking dick ever.
Yeah.
Like, from anyone.
Don't worry, that's still happening
Ugh.
at the shows. That's still happening.
Such a bummer.
Yeah, but there's like so much other
I
stuff
hope
happening.
you get up on stage and you're like, just gonna eat pussy. You know something? No, maybe.
No.
You don't.
No. But I would after, if someone did that right before my set, I might.
I hope you will next time.
Yeah.
I hope that never happens to you. But if it does.
Probably will, yeah.
Do you think New York or LA is more queer in terms of comedy at the moment?
Ooh, that's a good question. I can't really speak to the New York scene because I go there so infrequently and I don't like that city.
You don't?
No.
Whoa,
I famously don't like New York City. I like the comedy there. I like doing comedy there. I think comedy there as a whole is probably better than in LA because there are so many more shows and people really
You don't
want to
like
be good
rats?
at stand-ups. Yeah, I don't like rats.
You don't like pizza?
I like the pizza. The weather in New York's bad. There's trash everywhere. There's rats. There's no like green space really, minus like Central Park.
Central Park is pretty large.
Yeah, but you have to just
What
go
about
to
the
Central
High
Park.
Line? What about walking on the West Rip side
I don't
by
want
the
to walk
water?
as much as you have to walk in New York also.
But you're so fit.
Yeah, but I can just like do that on a treadmill. I don't want to like walk around the
boy.
city.
Oh, brother. What about San Francisco? Beautiful city, lots of trash, now lots of rats.
I haven't seen the rats there.
I've seen a couple of
trash.
I've seen some rats scurry in my day.
Yeah, but like New York, way
they
more
look like
rats.
cats. I had a
One almost ran over my foot. I freaked out.
Oh, I would have fucking literally. My soul would have escaped out of my body.
Yeah.
When I lived in New York, I'll never forget. Like, one of my first nights, I was sleeping and I was hearing something, and I put my ear to the wall, and it was just fucking rats. In the wall. And I was like,
God. Yeah.
Like, it's
See, I
just
can't
terrible.
do that. And the apartments are tiny. Tiny.
I mean, listen, I couldn't even watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because I couldn't fuck with Splinter. And it was a conflicting thing for me because I love pizza.
Yeah.
And I'm into turtle. I look like a turtle. So I was like, oh my God.
But you're like,
you
the
know what I mean?
sewers.
Yeah, the sewers were just, it was too much. Yeah, I saw a rat about this big
No.
once. Oh yeah, in Times Square.
No.
I love New York though. I lived there. I can like just fucking put my headphones on, pray to God I won't get mugged, and just fucking take the train, walk all over, keep it moving, stay out till way too late. I drink too much.
See, I don't drink. I don't like to stay out that late.
All right, so
what am I doing in New
You're
York?
going to fucking like Portland?
No, I'm here. Portland, the weather sucks there too. It rains all the time.
You know,
so here
it's
we
not
are.
like you're going to San Diego. Those people are just blacked out, wasted all the time down there.
You go. I live here.
Got it. But you have to travel as a comedian.
Yeah, I mean, I travel. I'll go to the place. Like
To
I've
Ann
gone to
Arbor.
New York, but
All right,
I would never live there unless I got a really good job.
Yeah, what if you got on like
What's
like Saturday Night Live or like a late
they would
night
never.
show?
I wouldn't want to do Saturday Night Live. I think that's
Can
brutal.
I give a hot take?
Yeah.
I've been watching here and there Saturday Night Live. Having a hard time laughing.
I don't watch it that often. I'm not like a big. I mean, I've seen it. You know, I'm just not a big like sketch comedy person.
Yeah, but didn't you do Second City, or weren't you in?
Yeah, I started by doing sketch and improv, and then I'm like, oh, I'm better at stand up. So then I do stand up now.
I think the meanest thing anyone could do to me is invite me to their improv group's class.
Like the graduation show?
And like demand I go see the like funny cherry bombs or whatever, like whatever the fuck they've like, you know, the Silicons.
Who's inviting you to these?
People have.
Oh, okay.
And I have to like literally just be like, I have COVID for the 100th time. I can't leave. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing more embarrassing. Actually, musical theater is a hard, depending, you know.
I've seen a lot of good improv, and I do think that's fun, but bad improv is tough. That's
more
tough.
times than not, it's pretty bad.
I mean, if it's a graduation joke, it probably won't be that great. That's gonna
But
be
like,
tough.
I don't want to see your troop. You know, because I'm like, y'all need to fucking get away from each other and go do stand up, baby. You know what I mean? It's time.
We don't need more. We don't need more comedians. But
just like we don't need another podcast, like
Yeah.
a fucking hole in the head.
I don't want to see your troop. Is so funny.
Is it? Are you gonna steal it?
No, but that's hilarious.
We talked about it in this room, but it didn't. It got to the cutting room floor, and I will only allude to it. But a very famous comedian stole one of my jokes and said it
From
on
the podcast?
No, like
Oh.
in person at Thanksgiving, actually.
Wait, they stole it at your Thanksgiving? Or
Well,
did it at
this
a
is up for
Thanksgiving
debate.
show?
Actually, let's hear what you have to say.
Okay, I want to hear that. I don't know any of
Because
this.
Allie and I like got into it over this.
Okay,
and
wait. So it was your joke.
Well,
Like your-
okay, hold on.
Okay.
I am not a comedian. Have I done stand-up shows a few times? Yes. Am I a
Okay.
great storyteller? 100%.
Okay, understood.
Okay. But I am not a comedian.
Okay.
Have I been like raped, traumatized, almost fucking flunked out of school? Yes. All the things that would make me a great comedian, but I'm still not a comedian.
Okay. You're just not doing it like to the amount
No,
of times
you
where
know what I'm talking about. When you meet someone and they're like, "Do you do comedy?"
Uh-huh.
I'm like, "Ooh, I
Uh-huh.
mean, I have." And then
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
like, "But have you lived the life?"
Okay,
and I'm
yeah,
like,
understood.
"Yeah, you get it."
Yeah. Okay, got it.
So I was talking about New York City,
Okay. Again, a
your
city I
favorite
hate.
place.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I don't know, man. Nothing ever good happened. Like, I think it's okay that the clubs in Los Angeles close at 2 a.m. because nothing ever good happens after 2 a.m. It's like
Agree.
you're not like doing your taxes. You're not like meeting the love of your life. You're not like coming up with the biggest business deal. You're not like fucking saving, cancer or whatever. You're not curing cancer. And so I said this person laughed. I then watched this person on, I think it was fucking Jimmy Kimmel. And they're like, oh my God, like nothing ever good happens after 2 a.m. It's like, what do I need to do? I love living in LA. Like nothing, the bars, like literally reiterated what I said.
Wow.
But is that stealing if I'm not a stand-up comedian? And Allie Colbert said, it doesn't apply to me.
That is tough. I would feel the same way you feel about it.
Thank you for validating my feelings.
Yes. But it is just tough to say if it would be stealing or not if you didn't present it already on stage.
But what if I just presented it as me, the person in my like hosting or this or like whatever?
I think if you've done it on stage as a joke and then they did it, I would consider that stealing.
But what if I like said it on a podcast? See what I'm saying? Tricky
Yeah,
territory here.
But did you say it on a podcast?
No, because podcast didn't like really.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. If there's no live show or record of you saying it and then they did it, tough to make the stealing argument.
Okay.
If,
But
like,
I
if,
have
like, if it was
said-
just in convo, I would also be pissed about it, but I think it would be tough to be like, oh, she stole the joke because it was not presented as
Well, it
the
was
joke.
obviously a man that did it.
Oh, of course it was a man.
And I will say this, after that instance occurred, they were writing a book and I was like, I'm not fucking telling you jack shit about shit because I'm fucking funny and I don't want to be up in your book because you ain't even taking me out to dinner. Stealing jokes is a thing though, I bet.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
How
But I don't
many
hear-
they them jokes have you heard? I actually know of a comedian that their whole bit is about how crazy they them stuff is. I wonder if you think
I think there's a lot of that
Now.
happening right now. Yeah.
but you're like on record.
But I feel like my
Chaz Diaz or Che
Che
Diaz,
Diaz.
excuse me, literally reposted you are the pinnacle of big they.
yeah, but
energy.
I know other people that have done like they them jokes that have like a different take. And I'm like, oh, that's funny, but it's like different from my joke. But I have not seen someone steal my joke except for when those accounts on Instagram just steal your content without giving you any credit or paying you money.
Who pays anyone for anything anymore?
Well, that's what that's also stealing. Stealing.
Don't even get me
Yeah.
started. I'm like, I also like can't even get my credit card or my like tax information in my Meta account to get paid for said content. I don't even know.
Yeah.
It's all a racket. I'm starting to sound more and more like QAnon, and I don't mean to. I'm like, there, the devil out there. You've been a delight, a pleasure, and a dream.
Oh, I'm honored. Well, thank you for having me on your podcast.
Did you think this was going to be what it was going to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a podcast, and I think you asked me questions and I answered them, and it was free flowing.
Tough crowd over here, folks.
Well, you asked me, did I think it would? I was like, yeah, this seems like what it would have been.
I mean, did you think it was okay? Fair enough. Yeah, I guess fair. That was kind of a dumb question.
If you were like, oh, did you have fun? I'd be like, yes, I had more.
Did you have fun?
I had more fun on the podcast
than you thought.
Than I thought.
Were you nervous?
No.
Like that I was going to not be fun and you were like, oh my God, I just fucking drove here from North Hollywood.
I honestly was more nervous that I didn't prepare homework for the podcast because I wasn't sure what it was. And when it was just us talking, I'm like, oh, great. That's awesome.
God, could you, this homework stuff.
There's so many homework podcasts.
I'm not going to, are you kidding me? I have to read a book for a podcast, but I'm like dying to go on this podcast. So I was like,
oh, really?
I'll read the fucking book.
Okay. That's what I don't want. I was afraid that you had accidentally told me at one point and I forgot that I had to do an assignment like that. And I'm showing up like being like, I didn't read the book.
5, have an orgasm before you come. Yeah. No, could you imagine? Do it now. No, I would never. I would never.
I would just fake it like most women. I do comedy.